Mason,
Yes, sir.
you want to hear a story?
If I have to.
He's so happy tonight. He's so happy.
All right. This is a couple years ago. Joe and I got sent up to Flagstaff because there was a piece of glass that needed to be switched out of the store. It's a sliding door, and it was, 8 feet by 4 feet, something like that?
Yeah.
Nothing super big, but basically all glass, 4-panel system. So the way that these doors work is you've got stiles and rails. So basically it's aluminum pieces that have a rubber boot that hold this massive piece of glass. And there's usually about probably 8 screws holding this together, or yeah. So you got to pull those apart. You'll be able to take the stiles, which is the vertical parts, off, and then the rails, which is the bottom part and the top part. Pretty straightforward, especially for this size. Should not be an issue. You get there, put it on sawhorses, pull it apart, switch the piece of glass, and you're good to go. The problem was, it was 28 degrees outside.
It got cooler than that at a couple points, especially when the snow started coming down.
Yep. So we have to now get aluminum that is attached to a rubber boot that is now frozen to a piece of glass pulled off the perimeter. And we are yanking at this thing. We've got a nylon block, which is like a plastic block that we're holding against the metal, the aluminum, and pounding on it to try and get it off, but it's not moving. We've got these big screwdrivers that we can shove in the ends of them, though, and we're starting to get some progress. We're like, all right, here we go. So we're yanking, and then at a certain point, we start realizing the whole thing isn't coming off. It's just bending. We're literally bending this piece of aluminum off this person's door.
Wow.
So by the end of it, it looks like 2 bananas that we've pulled off the side of this door, and we're supposed to reuse these same pieces to put it back together.
Over the course of 3 hours, I think that took.
So you just bent it back.
This is 3 or 4 hours to do this entire thing. We should have been in and out of there in an hour. So he left at one point to go to Ace Hardware to get a heat gun. We are doing everything at this end. So yeah, basically we just bananaed the shit out of this thing. Finally pulled it off, and then it was all right, time to just bend it all the way back. Sure as shit, we're able to bend it back, get those screws in there to kind of pull everything together. It worked, and we're just okay, we're out of here.
So hopefully no one saw anything.
Oh my gosh.
Before we got it back on, I spent 15 minutes apiece just baking them with the heat gun. And we had to go get some ratchet straps off our truck that we were using to hold the glass on, wrap it around, and then crank the ratchet straps all the way down.
Yeah.
No, that sucked.
It was,
That sounds awful.
yeah, it was a good time.
I love glass.
All right, what did you guys get into this last week?
Texas.
Yeah?
Already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Went to San Antonio and went to a wedding. Open bar at the rehearsal and wedding.
Oh, I swear you said taxes.
No, Texas.
I really did. That's why I said already.
Yeah, no. I wish. Get that out of the way, honestly. Do it sooner than later, please.
Joe, you want to pull that mic a little closer?
Or I can come closer to the mic.
You got a lot of room on that table.
Am I getting help? This is assistance. But yeah, went to Texas, San Antonio. I went to a wedding out there and got to have a lot of free alcohol. It was really, really cool. And the first time I spoke to my friend's mother, she was checking on me at the bar, asking me if I was okay. She had seen me at the bar enough times to warrant coming over and talking to me to make sure I was still coherent.
I thought that was going a different direction.
No. Never in a million years. Yeah, she wanted to make sure I was healthy and alive.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I did some things that might insinuate, me being less than sober for sure. Mainly stealing people's cameras and making them get a video of themselves with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because they're recording everyone. I'm like, no, my job, my turn. Then we went bar hopping, and I got so drunk at one point, I ended up being security.
You ended up being security?
Yeah, I convinced enough tables that I was security because I was so drunk I didn't know what to do but stand still and have my hands folded in front of me and facing the opposite direction of the table I was with. And enough people asked me what I was doing that I just started telling people I was there to make sure people had a good time.
Hey, at least you had the awareness to know that you were in a bad shape.
Yeah,
You know?
it was rough.
Joe is one of the people where if he gets messed up, he will come to you and just very be like, hey, I'm trashed right now. I need to go home. Like at my birthday party a couple of years ago, we're at Bull Shooters and there's probably like 30 people there.
What is that?
It's a place where you can like shoot pool or throw darts. Like they'll have
Okay.
whole competitions out of that place. So at a certain point, we lose track of Joe. He's just gone. So we end up like finding him with, I think that there's a server there who was missing her leg from like the knee down. And at some point,
Oh, no.
he ends up drinking a beer or something like that out of her prosthetic.
I saw that coming.
Yeah.
As soon as he
Oh,
said that,
man.
I knew that was where he was
Yeah.
gonna go with it.
Yeah.
She
So
was cool with it?
Oh no, she like was like, "Do you want to?" I was like, "Of course."
Oh, okay.
So we cleaned it. All right. It was clean, but it was a Red Bull vodka, and it was probably my like 8th or 9th of the night because I think I was keeping score with you because I was like letting him know. I'm like, "Hey, I'm 1 in. Okay, I'm 2 in. All right, here's the third."
Like those TikTok videos? You ever seen those?
Mm-mm.
No.
Where they're like, hey, I'm Mason-Oxendale. This is my first drink.
Oh,
And then they go
yeah.
second, and then by like the 8th or 9th or 20th, they're just slurring and on the floor.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Maybe we should do that in Denver.
Hard pass. We'll talk about it later.
The goal is 21.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Elevation, remember?
Yeah, I'm too old
Goal
for
is
that.
kids past 3. Is that what we're doing? Get past 3 beers?
Yeah, call it a day.
Wait,
You guys
is
are
that-
splitting
is
a six pack. What's happening?
I don't know. Mason says something about the elevation may.
Yeah,
impact your
you got to
ability
be
get
careful
drunk
when
or
you
not.
drink in high elevation.
Yeah,
Hits
it's
you harder.
cheaper to drink up there.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. 3 drinks each, we're done.
I saw this thing. It was on Instagram where this lady was like, one of the best nights me and my husband ever had was we went and donated blood. Went and got like boxed wine from Costco. Got super drunk because they had less blood in their system.
jeez.
Oh, wow.
So you're telling me I can be a good Samaritan and get drunk cheaper in the same day?
Yeah, as long as you give the blood first.
All right. What if I do it at the same time?
One goes in, one goes out.
Get the blood transfusion from a drunk guy's blood. Still alcohol in it.
I think they tested, so they're not going to give it to anybody.
Oh
It's an
man.
emergency transfusion in this hypothetical sscenario, Mason. I
Gotcha.
swear to God.
Okay.
This gentleman here is the same blood type. He's at a .40 right now though.
What'd you guys do?
I don't think I did anything. No, it was my oldest son's first cross-country meet. Those are a blast.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. He got 55th place. So,
Out of how many kids?
I don't know, like 80 or
56.
90.
Perfectly average.
Yeah.
Nice.
He does not have a runner body, but he just loves to, interact with people.
He wasn't.
He wanted to do cross country because everybody was doing it. So God bless his soul.
Good
He
for
loves
him.
it. Yep. But he has another meet tomorrow, and he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, you realized how much work the first one was.
But nope, he's not allowed to quit. He's got to go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe we'll get better. But that was the highlight of my weekend.
Nice.
Scott, we missed you last week.
Man, I didn't get into anything really. I mean, outside of a couple buyers and just showing houses. That was really about it. So
Did you hear that?
You passed the COVID test.
we're not supposed to tell anybody that, bro. Wife got sick. Okay, damn it! I just put my wife on blast.
Edit that out. Edit that out.
So there was a family member that got sick, and I had to play babysitter for a whole week, basically. So I was MIA from work and stuff outside of Saturday, Sunday.
Nice. I love how he just defaulted to, nothing, just work, dealing with clients like all the time. That's all I do. Nothing else. No free time. No family life.
Listen, bro, we're realtors. We don't have a life. You didn't know that by now? Clients expect you to pick up the phone on the first call, answer the text the moment they send it over, and you have to respond. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. It's a life just sitting there, waiting, holding the precious.
Yeah.
And then,
But sure enough, with referrals like Obsidian one, you don't get those. But the moment you step away from them, guess what happens?
Yep.
Ding! That phone goes off.
God forbid, you've got to use the restroom, take a shower, deal with a kid, anything like that.
Drive a car?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that hard.
Texting and driving?
Yeah.
Are you incriminating yourself? You don't have to do that.
Well, isn't that illegal just in Glendale, right?
No, Arizona.
I'm
thought
pretty sure
they
Arizona
made
passed
it.
it.
Yeah.
They don't pull anybody over for that.
Statute of limitations.
As long as you're driving with your knees properly, they don't really care. Right?
Dude, why do not... More people need to know how to drive with their knees.
Right?
Yeah, and their left foot as well.
And when you're really good at it is when you have stick shift. And you can text and still be able to hit the
No.
clutch and everything.
No, you got to
No.
be able to toss the phone up in the air, shift, and then grab it out of the air.
That'd
You
be
need to be able to
impressive.
drive stick shift while you've got ice cream in one hand and your spoon in the other.
Done.
You should be pitching these ideas like Fast and Furious 10 or 11, whichever one's on.
Dominic Toretto's chasing down a tank. Ice cream in one hand, spoon in the other. Banging through gears.
Yeah. Family on the brain.
That's so G-rated. Ice cream. Fast and the Furious would be something else.
It would be a Corona.
Alcohol.
It'd be a Corona. Yeah.
Yeah.
Double fisting Corona.
Yeah.
It's more like it.
Yeah.
What about you?
What was this last weekend? I can't remember what I do
We were just talking about how busy you were.
No, that was
this
today.
week.
Yeah.
That was. I guess that was
what
this week
tool
starting.
do you use? He didn't do
I don't
anything.
know. I am drawing a blank on the weekend. I feel like I did something Saturday, but I honestly don't remember.
Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah, that's what I did.
Wow.
Drove up to the Grand Canyon Saturday. We left at 3 a.m. to get there for sunrise. So
Yeah, I saw that. He posted like at 2:36 a.m. I was like, this homie's really up this early? I was like, what's wrong with you?
yeah, no, that was
That's when the sun comes up, dude.
Mm-hmm. It's too
Yeah.
early.
no. It was cool being out there though, because there's people from like all over, and they're like, we met two people from New York, and you see just a bunch of tourists, and it's just like, huh, this is 3 hours away, and these people came all the way across the country. So I don't know. That was fun.
Never been. Well, I've been, but I was in like a baby backpack when I went to Grand Canyon. But I've
Yeah.
never actually been and seen the views and everything.
Yeah.
Is it nice? Worth it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, we kind of just made a quick day trip out of it, got breakfast on the way back. So even like if you don't want to do like the 3 a.m. wake up call and just want to go take a look at it and do something in Flagstaff too, that's kind of the route I'd go. I've done like the Havasupai hike in the Grand Canyon, and if you're going to do that, I feel like that's a blast because there's waterfalls down there. The problem is it's like a 10-mile hike in, 10-mile hike out.
Can you skinny dip in them?
It is Native American land, so they might frown upon it a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah, we don't want that.
So, but like I think if you're gonna do like camping in the Grand Canyon, it's super cool because you can spend some time exploring and all that stuff. It's a good time.
Scott, you don't seem like a big hiker.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Okay, well
you're too pretty for that.
they do have
Oh,
horses that can you can ride on in there, and you just like if you're hiking, the step up is you can pay to ride a horse all the way down.
Isn't there donkeys as well?
Probably,
I'm
yeah.
under
Is
the
it
impression
faster?
there's donkeys.
I think so. Yeah,
Do you have to know how to navigate a horse?
probably not.
Really?
But it seems like they've got a guide who's kind of like
Oh, okay.
Like
And-
trained.
yeah, but if you're balling, you take the helicopter down.
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to ride a horse.
Yellowstone has changed so much, I feel like, for culture right now, as far as everyone's getting into that cowboy culture. Like, we need to get hats and boots, and Joe's roommate is all about it.
I borrowed the hat for the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude went full Yellowstone on it. It was hilarious.
Had my bandana pattern tie and everything.
Did you get your bobo tie too?
I wanted a bolo tie. I was about to buy one when I was in Texas, but I couldn't justify the stop. I wanted to get some food. That was more important.
Gotcha.
I'll see if I can find a photo of the tie, though. Or, no, I will find a photo of the tie.
Cool. All right, we ready to get this thing going?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Today, I'm joined by MasonOxendale, and what are we drinking?
Taco Bell Blast. No.
Baja Blast.
Yeah. No, it's not Baja. It's Cherry Blast. It's a freeze. It's delicious.
Awesome.
Get your sweet tooth fix.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with it.
Joseph Morris, what are we drinking?
We are drinking some Starbucks coffee. It's caramel flavored. I like it.
Scott, what do we got?
I mean, it's almost gone now, but still working on a Disaronno bottle and add some Sprite.
Nice. And then, as always, we're still looking for that Shamrock Farms chocolate milk sponsorship. So we'll be sending out some emails here in the next several weeks to see if we can get that done.
Why not strawberry?
Because chocolate milk is better.
Okay.
Red cows are rare.
Yeah. It's a whole thing about breeding. It's a recessive gene, just like, red-haired people.
I've seen red cows.
Yeah,
Where?
But how many of them?
On Yellowstone. Duh.
He makes a good point. He does make a good point.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. We got a couple topics, which I think some of them were left over from our notes from last week, and then I don't know where the first one came from, but whatever. Let's see. Where do we want to start? Guys, we've got 4. Which one do we want to start with?
The inventory and building prices?
Yeah, we skipped that. Let's do our obligatory inventory and building prices. Active homes for Maricopa County are at 14,385. Closed in the last month, 4,083. And interest rates are, we've got a lender at 6.375 or 5.875 with a 1-point buy down. And if you've got any questions about the 1-point buy down and what the difference is, feel free to DM Mason or Scott. They'll get in touch with you as far as what that means and what that would look like for your situation if you're looking to buy a house. 2x4s, we're looking at $355 stud, plywood $1,450, Romex, same thing as always. So the one that we're noticing on the building side that moves around the most is the plywood, so mostly the sheet goods. On the closed side, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I thought we saw this one drop a little bit.
You should start putting the plus or minus next to it so we
A little easier.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
easier.
Which I believe that one did drop, but it did make sense as far as we had Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and usually people have the day after Thanksgiving off as well, so it would make sense as far as if people are trying to schedule around that for any of their closings. That might account for a little bit of a difference right there, and not to mention that we're going to keep that probably rolling into Christmas.
And I think we're about 4 or 5 weeks into the interest rates slowly getting lower and lower. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can keep that trend.
Yeah. And the big thing for, I think, on the real estate side for all of that is that usually it seems like we know it right away because we're getting the updates. I've got someone who emails me every week as far as, hey, here's where we're at. But I feel like the general public doesn't know. They kind of wait for the information to get to them. So it's one of those things, like Mason said, it's going down. So if that's something you're thinking about, start talking to these guys because it might be a good time to kind of get in before the crowd starts jumping in with you. On our buyer side, let's talk about educated buyers in today's market. What does that look like? How do we deal with uneducated buyers in today's market? And we'll kind of roll from there.
Well, Scott and I were talking about this earlier, but the biggest thing is that some of these buyers, sometimes they're not very educated on what the market's doing and different things that you can do in order to get a home. You know, it's not always, hey, I qualify for this much, this is my interest rate, and it's just flatlined. When you're working realtors, when you're working with buyers, you just got to make sure that they're educated on different options that they can do, especially with this market right now, because for the past 6 months, it's been changing. So, what buyers were getting 6 to 12 months ago. They weren't getting seller concessions. Now they are. So now there's a bunch of different ways that you can use these seller concessions. So when we talk about educated buyers, we're just talking about them being aware of different creative ways on how they can actually get into a home.
Yep.
You know, especially because it's, you know, a little bit more towards a buyer's market right now.
So for the three of us, obviously we know seller concessions, we know the lingo, all that stuff. Joe, do you know what that means as far as when he's talking about that?
No, but I just kind of immediately assumed like they're entertaining an offer of like bartering or something like that. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of like creative ways to get into a house.
Yeah, seller concessions is just the seller giving the buyers a certain amount of money to put towards closing costs.
Buying
And
down
now
the interest
down,
rate.
yeah, you can buy down the interest rates, you know, for maybe even little knickknacks to get fixed around the house kind of thing. But it's money that they're giving to the buyer to put towards those things.
Yeah.
And that's all up front. So during the home buying process, like if you have an inspection and it's found that, okay, there's a material defect on the house. That could be the AC, that could be, oh, there was a water leak and we've got an issue. Like you can have a credit that gets applied for those defects. But the seller concession is up front saying before any of that happens, in the contract, the buyer and seller agree to the seller is going to put forth however many dollars or up to it's 3% of the purchase price towards these seller concessions covering all those things that Mason just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So somebody could leave a couple $1,000s if an AC unit is bad.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Adds up.
what else do you guys run into as far as someone starts talking to you in regards to, hey, we're looking to buy a house. That's what we know. Where do you start and what do you do from there?
I think they're just scared from the get-go, honestly. I mean, a lot of people are paying attention to what people are saying, the news every night.
The headlines, yeah.
Mass media is blowing things up to be a lot worse than what it potentially is. You know, yes, the interest rates are up. Yes, the average income for a household needs to be higher to be able to qualify for a home. But at the end of the day, if you have the budget set up for that and you have the money you can put down, there's ways to get creative, like Mason said, as far as getting those concessions taken care of. That way you're not coming out of pocket so much money. In addition to just knowing what options there are for you, like the 2-1 buy down program. I believe I was reading something the other day, and it was if you utilize that program and you end up refining, but not all that money that was tied up in that program is being used, that money is actually refunded to you. So then you can use that to pay off your refi. And then that goes into the other thing people are a little concerned about. Okay, well then I have to refi. What's that going to cost me? Anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
Well, you can use that money to pay that off, or if you really want to pocket that money, rewind here, not pocket, but if you want to roll that money that you would end up having to pay for the refi back into the back end of the loan, you can do that as well. Because then you're just having a lower payment, you're extending things, but 3-4 months you refi, it's kind of worth it at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
but to get a full percent and a half, 2% to refinance that $4,000 over 30 years is chump change.
Exactly.
You're not going to feel it
Yeah.
at all. So it's worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to be I mean, like even you got the arms too. Do 2-3-year arm, so adjustable rate on it, so you got a lower rate. Plus, when you're going out to look for houses, you can still ask the seller concessions for a buy down rate and get an even super low interest rate that way.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ways. You just want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself, as a buyer, you're surrounding yourself with people that are knowledgeable. So your lender, your real estate agent, and even the title company that know how to disperse the funds everywhere. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you get that team around you, it's going to be pretty easy to get the house that you want, get a cheaper rate, and not have to, outbid somebody else kind of deal.
All right.
Or go back and forth.
So also on that, as far as I feel like a lot of people are ignorant to the entire process. So let's even look at someone comes to you guys and says, hey, my lease ends in August of 2023. I'd like to obviously be out of an apartment or their rental house, whatever it is, and be owning a place. What are you looking for them to do, or when do you start the process of kind of getting everything moving? So it's December 9th right now. they want to be in a house August 1st. Should they talk to you early or late in July, or what does that whole thing look like?
I would say right from the get-go, have the conversation with them and then direct them to talk to a lender. Because if they're not aware of where their credit lies, then they may have some things they have to work on. So then they can use that 4 or 5 months to go ahead and adjust things, save money, whatever the case may be. Once that lender gives them the pre-qual is kind of where I'm going to start getting things in gear and getting things rolling. Because at the end of the day, let's just say that they want to be out by August 23, you said? So then you can essentially get them in a house the month before, okay? And there's always that concern of, well, then I have that second payment, my last payment of the month. Well, if you navigate certain things correctly, you can actually get that closing cost. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know before the lender was actually able to use that closing cost to pay out that last rent that month. So then you would walk into it and you're basically paying for the house the following month after. So instead of August, it'd be in September.
And doesn't the first month of your mortgage get deferred, basically?
Yeah, so essentially, the earliest you could do it was you close in a house in May.
Yep.
Then you don't have an August payment, but you still pay for your rent, and then your first payment's not till September.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the pre-qual, you want to talk to a lender because you can fill out applications and get that started, and they can have a really good ballpark idea of how much you're going to get approved for, and what your interest rate is, without getting full on, run credit and get a full pre-approval letter, because that's what only 90 days is good for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you want to get the process started, like Scott said, to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row in case something weird's happened where you got to fix a credit issue. So the sooner you can get that process started, then you'll be able to hit your goal to get out in August. So even if you're a year out, still talk to somebody, get an idea.
Yeah. Because the lender's going to give you basically a playbook on how to get everything going. And if you're ahead of the game, then it's going to be sooner. But it's all dependent on the borrower at the end of the day. How motivated are they to get qualified?
That's the key, yep.
So
yeah, everybody talks a big game, but then they just don't want to follow through with it because they get scared, or they just don't think of it and wait until last minute. And then if they have any issues, then you're not going to be able to get out in August.
Yeah. Which I think a big thing too, as far as it's when people are dealing with a real estate agent, usually they're going to be dealing with someone they trust. If it's a family member, if it's a friend, because a lot of people are licensed. But like for you guys, it's if they're coming to you, the other thing is not just that they're coming to Mason, they're coming to Scott. It's they're coming to Mason as a business. They're coming to Scott as a business. So you guys have relationships in the industry. So it's not just that, hey, like I've got your back. It's no, we've got a team that's got your back. So yes, you're going to have to open up in regards to with a lender. They're going to ask you all your financial information. Do they care? Do they judge you about anything? Absolutely not, because they're running everyone's numbers. But there's that aspect of almost like wearing all those hats as far as like, hey, like I'm going to be your friend, but it's when that business hat goes on, it's to say, hey, like it's not just me. There's a couple other people involved that we need some trust in as well.
Right.
So, as far as what about costs up front or money up front that they're going to need when they go under contract? I had a couple people get surprised by a couple things along the way as far as paying for things. So is there anything that you guys always look at as far as talking to people, hey, this is going to be up front when we go under contract?
Well, I mean, you're going to talk to your lender, so about what your down payment is. Obviously, that's money up front that you're going to need. You're going to need the money for the down payment, right?
Yeah, what about, like, I'm talking more earnest
exactly.
money and inspection, though.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to have, but the earnest money, like, isn't anything extra. So if you and your lender are talking about, oh, we're going to put $10,000 down because you have $10,000 cash liquid that you can use right now. So you can use that. Earnest money is essentially you're just pulling it early from your down payment. So that's not really upfront costs. The only other upfront cost would probably be, which I always tell my buyers to do, is to get an inspection. So $350, maybe a termite inspection, extra $50. So and that's the bare minimum, unless you wanted to, get anything else done.
I had a client who paid like $450, I think, last week for an inspection. So, and that was the house and termites as well.
Yeah, and it's just always a good thing to have. Just even if there's nothing major wrong with the home, once you move in, you've got this whole checklist of things that you can get done
Yep.
over the next however long you've been living there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the appraisal, you don't have to pay out of pocket most of the time.
Yep.
Lender covers that and just puts that in your closing costs.
You can pay for it if you want to, obviously, instead of financing it.
Yeah, that's true.
I would always err on the side of caution too. And yes, you have your inspection, your earnest money, right? Earnest money is refundable, so that could come back if you're going to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of your inspections, if you're going to hire an electrician, a
Yep.
plumber, anything like that, and there is a cost for them, then just know that that's going to be out of pocket as well.
And non-refundable.
Well, yeah, it's out of pocket. It's
Yeah.
a fee, right? You're charging or someone's charging you to come out to your property to perform a service.
Yep.
So
Which, and part of what I was driving at is I had a transaction just over a year ago, and the people were selling their house. They had a ton of equity in their house. The problem was it was locked up in their house. So they qualified for a nice house. It was close to $600,000. But this was on me as far as I didn't go through as far as the earnest money side of things with them.
I remember this.
So when they came to do their earnest money, they were trying to put it on a credit card because, like I said, all that equity was locked up in the house. So they had great incomes. The equity in the house was going to be an enormous down payment. So everything was in line for it to work. They just didn't have the cash on hand for the earnest money. And the earnest money, kind of the rule of thumb that I think a lot of people play with, it's going to be 1% of the purchase price that you're offering, and that can always change. But that was kind of my rule of thumb that I always used with my buyers, and it's usually going to be asked for within the first 2 business days of going under contract by the title company. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if there is some creativity that goes into the purchase of your home, absolutely, we're going to do that. We just need to know what pieces are out there so we get everything in line before you shoot yourself in the foot like I did and have a freak out moment going, uh-oh, we might lose this contract.
Rookie.
Yeah.
Yes.
But did you get that contract?
Oh, yeah, we got it. It was
Oh,
good.
nice.
Yeah, that was a good day. So, yeah, but for a couple days there, I was a little nervous.
I remember that week, dude. He was shitting bricks.
Oh, he was stressing.
Yeah, dude. You saw sweat bullets coming down. I was like, what's
Yeah,
going on
he
here,
pulled
bud?
out his wallet, started seeing how much money he had in it.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good time.
Did they end up just getting a gift from a family member? Because once you're in that situation and somebody gives you money, then they gotta write a letter to the lender.
Right.
It's definitely
More documentation.
yeah. You're putting more work on yourself and your buyers.
If I remember correctly, I think it was something that they went through.
Crypto.
Yes, they had a lot in Bitcoin. They were able to cash it out through FTX before Sam Bankman-Fried blew the whole thing up. And yeah,
Oh, are you telling me somebody actually capitalized on that?
yeah, just them. That was it. Everyone else lost their money. So, yeah. Anyways. All right. Anything more for our buyers?
No.
Well, I would say come 2023, expect an uptick. I would say, rates are going to continue to drop and people are going to start getting back in the market.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier too. It's if you're qualified, you're ready to buy. It's a good time. You're going to hear that all over the place. Oh, it's a great time. Blah blah blah. Well, it's great for each individual situation.
Right.
But if you're already pre-qualified or you have it and you're thinking about buying, but you want to wait for the interest rates to go down lower, well, so is everybody else. There's not a biggest pool of buyers right now. As the interest rates get lower, the pool gets bigger. So you're going to have more competition. You might not be able to get the same amount of seller concessions as you would now versus in January, February. So if you're ready, pull the trigger.
So shit or get off the
Yeah,
pot.
of course, unless, there's nothing out there that you like, then you sit and wait for it. But
Which, when you've got 14,000 homes on the market, odds are good.
yeah, odds are good.
So it's better than last year at 4,000. So
That was crazy.
Definitely.
Insane.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with everything you're saying. Jump the gun, get into it right now before it starts booming. You're gonna have more competition later on. The probability of you getting credits, a lower purchase price on a home, it's probably not gonna be there. So
Do your thing. What's the construction side looking like?
Well, I started my new job this week, so that's been fun. Doing that, getting back into the game there. Let's see. I know for us at the company I'm with, we've got 4 jobs running concurrently. So that's interesting as far as some are at different stages. Some are getting the final approval for permits, stuff like that. And
I got a question for you guys. I mean, it might put you on the spot a little bit, but
way to cut him off.
sorry.
You should be sorry.
I'm gonna beat Scott up. Anyways,
World star.
like for we were talking about buyers looking for house,
uh-huh.
getting seller concessions and stuff. Like, what would be if somebody wanted to do a small like update in their kitchen? You know, like I think some people overestimate how much it's going to be. Like in their head, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is going to be like $30,000." Like they got fine cabinets. They just want maybe like new. Obviously, it depends on how big the countertop is, but they want new countertops, kitchen stay. They put the handles on the the cabinet stay, put handles on it, put a backsplash, and get a couple new appliances. I mean, I know we're talking ballpark, but I think it might help buyers figure out that it's cheaper, might be a little cheaper than what they anticipate.
Or at least be within their budget.
Exactly.
And a lot of that comes down to how you're doing things. Because like you said, if the cabinets are staying, that's going to be a huge part of it.
Yeah, I'm talking very generic. You don't have to take off backsplash. You just have to take off the laminate countertop.
And kind of pushing the direction of, I would kind of go the direction of backsplash. So it was me, Joe, and a couple other guys got together earlier this year to kind of talk about, hey, what are we looking at for the Sledgehammers in the Office construction side going into 2023. So part of that was trying to figure out how do we start marketing what we're doing. And one of the areas that we looked at was for new builds. So to say, especially for new builds, sometimes you're moving into something that is a little more generic because you saw all the price upgrades, or maybe you didn't qualify for some of the upgrades that were there. But if you're in there for several months, you've got a little bit of cash sitting around. Part of what we were looking at was trying to even say like, hey, if you want to customize some of these things, like putting in a backsplash or doing some of those things that might be that step up in finish grade, but aren't necessarily like, we're tearing out the kitchen and starting over. It's like, all right, are we going to change out the handles so it's more of the modern style? That's where it's going to be a lot more cost effective for people. Offhand, it's difficult just because there's a lot of people charge, excuse those people, different things in terms of labor, and it always comes down to how much the material costs. If you've got a basic subway tile, I think there was a small kitchen that I looked at recently that I had, it was several $100s to do a backsplash for the tile. So, and that can change a space very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially like you were saying with hardware. I mean, like that's such a substantial thing. I mean, just go and make sure it matches the rest of the stuff in the house, especially if you're going to do door hardware, which is a good, chaser for that. If you're trying to get into the house a little bit more, just try to keep all the hardware consistent.
And kind of one of the hard things with that too is looking at keeping things consistent with how things start to add up quickly when you've got multiples. But it's, yes, to your point, if someone's looking to go and kind of do a touch-up facelift on the house without saying, hey, we're going to start cutting open walls, it's the big thing at that point is going to be the labor that you've got into it. So numbers wise, it's difficult to be able to say, oh, you're looking at X amount of dollars, because all the variables are always different. But yes, there's a very cost effective way to do those kind of things.
So just to give them a number, would it be over or under $30,000?
It's ballpark, dude.
Under $30,000. So like
let's talk about this. You put 8. You're going to put 8 feet of backsplash, 8-foot countertops, an island, and hardware. And
The
ballpark.
island-
I mean, you can't be. I mean, you got a ballpark. I mean, you're not going to be off by 10 grand. You're not removing anything.
It always comes down to what you want, though.
Exactly. Yeah, we're talking about generic subway tile, the white quartz,
I
and
think-
stainless steel handles.
Let's say it's like 300 square foot kitchen.
Yeah,
too. Like
there you go.
250, 300. Maybe 10 cabinets.
I honestly don't know the numbers that well off the top of my head. Usually I'll sit down and kind of work through as far as the footage basis, so I don't have a good answer
I was
for
trying to put you on the spot, see if you knew.
you. And you,
First you cut him off, now you put him on the spot. What's up with you today, bro?
you did a good job.
Why are you picking on me?
I'm just playing with you. You know I love you.
All right, so the big thing,
Romantic tension. Wait a minute. We have to address this.
like the big thing would be as far as like even looking at Home Depot, you've got your subway tiles. If it's the most generic one, I think it was a little over $1 a square foot for, and that's just the material. So if you're looking at 2 feet by, like I said, for those people it was 2 feet by 20 feet. So it's like 40. Yeah, so doing math in my head, and this is not cool.
Well, you did the job for 700 for just the backsplash, right? Is that what you were saying earlier?
No, I had it bid out, but hasn't come to pass yet. So I'd have to
So
check.
it's a safe $1,000.
It was under that. Yeah, I know it's under that. I even know where it's at. So it's not
Out of that $7,000, how much was? How much was?
$7,000. It wasn't $7,000.
Oh, that's what he said. 700. Okay.
Let's pull it up, just so that.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Well, you put me on the spot, so now I feel all weird about it. Ooh, I need to go do that. You're reminding me of things I don't want to do right now.
November 7th, what happened?
Oh, Joe was right. He was close to it. The whole job was going to be $800.
That's not bad.
How much a square feet? How much were we putting up? My bad. I thought you had it up there.
It's probably around 80 square feet.
What's a generic kitchen? The square feet for like backsplash. I know what.
That's the problem, because you've got galley kitchens, you've got open kitchens, like, so everything's different. And as far as the cabinet placement too, that's why it's more like on an individualized basis. So this is one of the things too, like I'd say that gets frustrating for construction, which maybe like this is even an avenue that we could look at to try and streamline things as far as just to make pricing easier for everyone to say, hey, here's a price that we have based on a job per square footage for a backsplash or whatever it is. And that's something we should talk about later, but getting that nailed down. But yeah, usually a lot of it is going to come down to what they want, because I know showers are a little different with this, as far as your wall tile on showers can be $1 a square foot.
Gotcha.
Your floor tile can be $15 a square foot.
Depending on what
So-
you get, yeah.
Well, most times, usually just because it's on that matting, that price, it just gets jacked up right away. So you might have a very small shower pan that is going to be like 15, 16 square feet, but then you're jumping that up very quickly because your price per square foot is a lot higher.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets a little crazy with all of that.
Yeah. How's that Butterfinger, Joe?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You listening to it?
Yep.
ASMR? Yeah. Joe eating Butterfinger moment. I tried to push the mic away, dude. I was like, yeah. I couldn't ignore it anymore, man. I did so good.
What are the like the wood costs, like building materials?
Mm-hmm.
The prices now compared to what they were like 2019 pre-COVID. Are they around closer to the same, or are they still a little higher?
They're very close to the same.
Okay.
Before everything got jacked up, this is pretty. Yeah,
Okay,
this is
good.
on basically where we were. So, That's what we're really excited about as far as it's like you see a lot of things that went up and stayed up. Lumber prices obviously came back down, so a good amount of our building costs are back where we want to see them. I feel like you've got a comment there.
Oh yeah, things are still expensive. They're generally expensive though all the time. Battery prices are getting higher and higher. That's killing me. I don't want to keep paying money for batteries.
What do you need batteries? Oh, for your tools.
Yeah, it's insane. Bought a
Are they
two-pack.
rechargeable?
Well, yeah, they're rechargeable, but it's like, oh, you want 2 batteries and a charger? That'll be $200, please.
Okay, so this is something I'll say as far as I did think of recently for the construction side, that sometimes we talked about earlier, we want to be cost effective for the customer. But at the same time, there is a part where there is a certain cost that has to get passed on to the customer just because of the tools that are required for some of the things that are involved.
Gotcha.
As far as like for someone, if they're going to go say, hey, I'm going to go do my own tile backsplash. It's like, okay, like you can rent a tile saw, you can rent all the tools and do all that. Cool. Yeah, great. Good for you. Because like on our side, when we're buying those things, those are hundreds of dollars. The batteries alone are stupid with how expensive they are. And it's not necessarily because, it's price gouging from the manufacturer, but it's more just that's what it costs for them. There's several, it's to get one of the big guys, it can be a couple $100 for one.
Yeah.
And you need to get several of those to get you through a day in some cases because I can't just have it one in a tool, throw it on the charger for an hour and a half and watch for it to charge. So it's like some of those costs that people are seeing in the trades going up, a part of it is reflective of, hey, we've got a front-loaded cost in regards to making sure that we have all the things necessary to take care of that. So it's in your project as far as it's like, well, I could do it for cheaper. It's like, yeah, but you're going to have to buy what you don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they only look at material costs and they're like, whoa, $200 ain't bad. Or what we were looking at earlier, what was it, 170 or 140 for material?
Yeah.
And they look at labor and like, why is it $500? Well, because I have the $3,000 in tools I'm going to need to do it already. This is a good place to start. If you want to go there. What's a miter saw on a stand run? Like $1,000? For a 10-inch miter saw,
10-inch miter saw and a stand, you're probably looking at...
It's a 12-volt powered. It's not even the battery out.
If it's outlet powered, then you're looking at...
$500-$600.
Yeah.
What a bunch of nerds. You know what I'm saying, Scott?
Got me. That's why I hire him out to just come do the job.
Yeah, that's the dilemma you get with buying or looking into construction and getting good at it and learning about it. That's the only thing you know is tools and the actual labor itself.
Speaking of construction, the cabinets in our house are finally up.
Yeah.
And now the closing date's moved more towards the beginning of February.
Hey, there we go.
Wait, how many times has it been moved further out?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
You just let me know when to stop. On months.
Like you might want to go to double digits then.
Not double digits, probably like 6, 7. I don't know. August to February.
Yeah, that's 6.
What's the best excuse you've heard so far?
The best?
Labor,
Yeah.
That's the best.
material, blah blah blah.
No, like
blah,
a
blah,
specific
blah.
instance, like the electrician came to you and said, like,
The best excuse was the first excuse. Everyone after that was just like, I don't care anymore.
yeah, it's like, geez, dude.
Yeah, I didn't really ask too many. I just didn't want to have to punch anybody. Not have to, but I wanted to resist the urge. Because as representing myself, I can't punch him in the face.
That's when his business hat was on.
So next, Thad's dumper.
Yeah, that thing's crazy. What's up with that?
You've got a dumper?
Looking at getting a dump truck, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he's wearing a dumper.
No. All right. I know it's a little later. We got started a little late. Do we want to do a house real quick, or do we want to kind of bring this thing to a close?
I don't think we hit up on seller expectations.
All right. You want to do that, and we'll skip the house for tonight?
We were super prepared today.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about this on the way over here, that What were we titling this one?
Oh, winging it.
There we go.
That's definitely the title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. Seller expectations.
Versus.
Can't take you serious right now with that voice. I mean, seller expectations.
Enthusiasm, Scott.
Get out of here, dude. I would just say with the seller expectations, I mean, know where the market's at. You're still seeing sellers that want to have that crazy list price. They're expecting to get that crazy offer that's just not there anymore. I mean, I was telling, what's going on with you?
No, he was saying he had a nice asking price.
He had a nice asking.
Very generous.
I guess everyone's picking on you tonight. It's not.
What
just
the
me.
hell?
Sorry.
You're the only one selling the house, dude. I'm sorry.
I had an example over the weekends. We put in an offer, and the house it was priced in the middle ground, I would say, but we put in an offer well below, asked for closing costs and whatnot. Agent came back and said, "Hey, we have this comp." Well, the way I was trained, 120 days is kind of like the maximum that you pull back as far as days go. This thing was sold way back in February of this year. So the market was still hot, right?
Yeah.
Nothing really impacted as far as rates go or buyers kind of pulling the plug and wanting to buy. So the house was way higher. Well, go figure. An iBuyer bought it. So, of course, they overbid the heck out of it, right? So I go back and I look through comps
And
again.
Open Doors losing their shorts. Their stock price continues to fall. I'm waiting for them to be bankrupt here soon.
Are you allowed to use the name?
No, you're not.
He's describing the condition of the door up front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that. The iDoor. I love it. Love it. Smart door.
Why am I not allowed to use their name?
About defamation.
I'm an owner.
Oh, wait, hold on. Does he have a point?
I'm not touching on that.
I don't know. This is not.
Anyways,
a
there was an
legal podcast.
there was an iBuyer that purchased that property, so they way overbid it, right? So I come back, I'm like, all right, look, that's way out of bounds as far as the comps go, in my opinion, looking that far back to justify that price point. So I go and I find the most recent comps. So sure enough, I find a comp that, again, another iBuyer bought. It was $60K less than what that one bought it for, and they bought it literally a month ago. So I use that as my comp to justify our price point. So my point is that the seller wants to use these investor or these periods in time where these offers and these contracts and these homes closed at these crazy values, but then when you bring them something that's recent, they don't like it. So when it comes to these seller expectations, know where your market's at. Know that we're not back in Q1 of 2022. We're towards the back end. Things have changed. They have been changing since the summer, and you need to kind of see what's going on here. Where's your net? Where's your budget? How's everything looking as far as the seller goes? And can you make that work? Is your house going to sell at a realistic price point? And is your agent going to advise you to do the proper steps to do so?
Yeah, and as you want to do that as a buyer's agent too, is run all those comps, is because you don't want to run into the house not appraising for what you put an offering on it, because then you're in a whole nother debacle. So that's the big, yeah, you can give them the full offer price, but like, what if it doesn't appraise for that much? You're not going to spend 20. It's not 2022 or 2020 when you're, 40 grand over asking price and just covering it. So those are things that, Scott, as the buyer's agent, he was just double checking. And then the listing agent or the sellers, one of them,
both of them, they tried to flex and say, hey, we got a higher price, which, and again, I'm not taking that away from them, but that was so long ago that we're in a different environment right now. Like, that's not
even from a month ago, the most recent comp.
Right, and we weren't that, and we honestly, our offer was higher than what that comp was sold for.
Yeah.
So we were still in my eyes, at market value. Maybe granted, it had upgrades and stuff, so I'd say, yeah, we probably left some on the table, or we took some away from the seller, whichever way you look at it. But still, we were being competitive compared to their opinion of nowhere near where the house should be because of X, Y, and Z.
Exactly, yeah. So when you have that conversation with your sellers, you let them know why it's priced, where it's priced, and where it might actually be sold at, depending on, like, we have to adjust the price with the market.
Yep.
Right.
So you got to put those expectations up there, otherwise you get in his scenario where the seller's getting all bent out of shape because it's not what the asking price is.
Right.
And then they just keep trying to justify it. So you
Yeah.
got to have that conversation.
And it's not about what is sold anymore. I mean, granted, in a sense, it is because
Yeah.
you gotta justify it, right? But what's currently happening? Because if your houses are 550 in your neighborhood and you're gonna go up for 650, well, you're gonna sit for 4 or 5 months, and then you're gonna do those price reductions. And on top of, okay, do you have a mortgage payment? You're paying that each month when you really want to get out of the house. Like, dude, think about it. Figure out where your middle ground is. Put it at an aggressive price point or at a decent price point. Get your offer and move on.
Yep. Jobs to get it sold.
Which I think this goes back to what we talked about earlier, as far as most people don't have their fingers on the pulse of the market. So
Either that or they're getting fluffed up by whoever's trying to get the job.
The listing.
Right, the listing agent.
yeah, no, I get that too. But I think in some ways it's also, we've got some sellers coming in with the expectations as far as that they're hearing the real estate market is hot. Or like if you're just scrolling through Instagram and get caught in the real estate algorithm, you're going to hear about how it's a great asset, it's an investment, you can sell it for this much money, or how much money these people are turning things over for. And it's like, yes and no. Like we talked about, things are changing. What do we compare it to? The beginning of 2022. We're here 11 months later, things are not the same. So it's for a seller to go in and understand and listen to, hey, like, we're watching this in real time. We see what's happening in your neighborhood. We know that if you want to try and say, hey, I want to net 150 grand out of this, when in reality it's like, hey, the comps aren't supporting that, I'm sorry. It's like, it's not our job as realtors to come in and be like, yeah, man, whatever you want. Our job is to come in and say, hey, you asked me to do a job, and that's help you sell your house. Let me shoot you straight.
Mhm.
Here's what it is.
Yep.
All right. Let's wrap it up for the evening. Mason, let us know where to find you. Anything you want to plug?
The IG at MasonOxendale. Starting to get a little more active on there. Follow me.
They just, some girls do.
My bad, yo.
He tried to do it right now.
I tried to find Mason on his Instagram. Sorry.
Joe.
Search it _there on Instagram. He did it again.
Yeah, we're just not gonna mess
You're not
with
supposed
that.
to find me while we're doing it.
Yeah, my bad.
But yeah, I guess follow me if you want to look at car stuff or me racing lawnmower engine powered motorcycles.
Ooh.
Scott.
Yep, just find me on Instagram, Scott_Curtis, Realtor.
Cool. And then feel free to follow me at ThadAZRealty for what's going on in real estate, and at SITO_building for what we're doing in construction. And if you guys have any questions in regards to real estate, obviously we've got 2 guys who are running point on that full time. And then Joe and I are kind of handling the construction side. So feel free to send us any questions in regards to that. If you guys need any recommendations, or if you're outside of the state of Arizona, we're going to get you hooked up with some qualified professionals. So feel free to reach out. If you've got any questions, we'll go from there. Until next time, I hope your hammer stays accurate, your Wi-Fi fast, and your work blessed. See you, everybody.
See ya.